all we're going to do if we block the pipeline is give the Americans more of our oil at enormous discounts, effectively making a donation of tens of billions of dollars to them. Why, when they're hitting us with tariffs, would we want to be more dependent?
It all makes sense now. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today we know why immigration is so easy in Canada. We also have more of the interview from Pierre Poilievre on Global News, talking David Eby, talking Trump tariffs. We're going to start breaking down Mark Carney's conflicts of interest from his own list, the 103. Let's jump into this. Starting this one off, check out this website, CanadaVisa.com. What is this website? It's a website dedicated for newcomers. Look at this. Free assessment, immigrate, all the options here. Immigrate from India, Pakistan, Philippines, Kenya. Don't worry, they got it all. Coming from Kenya, this is what you need to know. No wonder it's so easy to move to Canada. Need some work? Here you go. Lima exempt work permits, work without a work permit, get maintained status business visitors, TFWP program. What do you need? It's all here. Need to get sponsored? How about family class sponsorship? No wonder it's so easy for newcomers to get all the free money from Canada when you got websites like this. You got to wonder, at what point do Canadians start applying as refugees just to take advantage of our system because life is becoming so hard in our country? Immigration needs to be completely slashed. Like, it has to be ended. It's breaking every part of our society. Next up, we got this one from BC Conservatives. It says, in Interior Health alone, 1,586 people perished while waiting for care last year, a 6-year high. I mean, here's David Eby's record. Look at this. I wonder if he's proud of this record. I wouldn't be surprised if he is. And we've got a surprise visit here. Someone who's finally climbed out of bed. Jagmeet Singh taking a shot at Pierre Poilievre. The Rolls-Royce Revolutionary is coming for your EVs. Jumping over to my chart here. So we're going to start going through Mark Carney's list here. I started to check them off and number them on my chart, but today we're going to take a look at Celerity, number 15 on the list. But before we do that, I'm starting to verify all these ones where they're located. I've already found this one here is located in Luxembourg and not in France. And this one here, Waste Connections, I talked about it in the previous video. This is an interesting case where its headquarters are in Texas, but it has a subsidiary, which is called 360 Environment Solutions in Canada. They were forced by Ontario to set up another company, its own named company in Canada to operate. Although on Mark Carney's list here, it's listed as Waste Connections and not R360. So technically, I should be switching this one to United States, and it's verified, and then I'll move this over. That drops the Canadian investments from 3 to 2. Okay, so moving over to the middle of the board here. So we've got Celerity, that's the newest addition here, number 15. And as you'll see here, all the numbered ones on his list will be numbered right here, number 17, number 23, number 19, etc. But Celerity, this is a solar farm in Chile. So this will be pretty obvious if Mark Carney suddenly has some revelations. In this case, it won't be him, it'll be someone else. Francois-Philippe Champagne has this burning desire to invest in solar panels in Chile. We'll know that this is a major conflict of interest. So this here, Brookfield invested in Celerity to help Chilean energy group expand and achieve its goal of having 1,000 operational plants by 2030. This plan is in line with Chile's national pledge to become carbon neutral by 2050. I'm sure there's a rabbit hole to go down there. Why that's Chile's plan, who was whispering in whose ear to make that the plan. So we can see here, Brookfield acquires a majority stake in Chilean solar project Celerity. The deal closed on the 17th of March for an undisclosed amount. And looking at the company itself, you can see they do in fact build a bunch of solar farms all over the place, huge ones. You'll see here Brookfield right on their own website. We are part of the largest infrastructure funds in the world. Brookfield bought them back in 2022. This is 2 years after Mark Carney became vice chair of ESG. And you can see they have carports, floating ones, floor ones, ceiling solar farms, a lot of solar farms. This will be easy to tell if there's suddenly deals going down to this company in Chile. Now, in researching that, I looked through the Government of Canada's website here and I found this one. This is very interesting because this already seems like a rampant conflict of interest. And the one we were just looking at is related to Brookfield plus Camco by Westinghouse Nuclear Services. This is for SMR, small modular reactors. And as you see on my board here, so this is directly connected to the data centers. These hungry energy beasts, especially hyperscale and AI focused centers. With AI, there's so much demand for energy. Data centers are the big thing. You've got all the big players, Amazon, Google, all of them building more data centers, and they're building nuclear plants just for their data centers. And if you've seen my video on the data centers, you can see them all here in black. So America has most of them here. We've got one with France, Brazil, India, and Sweden as well. And these are all ones that Brookfield are invested in or own. That's important to note because these nuclear services, these small modular reactors from Westinghouse, well, this one I stumbled upon just by accident looking for solar farm in Chile. I found this one here, $1.85 million. This was back in 2024, the 23rd of December. So this is Mark Carney being the advisor to Justin Trudeau. They dumped $1.8 million. So this goes to America funding the U.S. Department of State's foundational infrastructure for the responsible use of small modular reactor capacity building program. This seems to make a lot more sense now that we see all of Mark Carney's investments here in America. And I counted these up. Mark Carney has 532 investments in America, and plus the one we just added, so 533 out of a total of 568 investments. Fast forward a couple hours, I've been doing some more digging into why would they spend this money. This just seems like a ripe conflict of interest. You can see country, it has Latvia, Bolivia, Thailand, yada, yada, yada. That's why Chile came up when I searched for this. Well, it turns out my suspicion is correct that this is ripe with conflict of interest, but what this is a training exercise, $1.8 million sent to America. America already has these training workshops for SMRs, and this is trying to set up all these countries with SMRs and the proper way to do it, the safe way to do it, versus how China and Russia and other countries like that, they have more lax standards. By sending this money to America, they already have their workshops for SMRs set up, so essentially contracting out foreign aid. But what's going to happen here is those countries, while doing workshops in America, they'll choose who the speakers are, the content, the partners involved in the workshops, and who do you think that's going to be? Westinghouse Nuclear Services. Did Mark Carney and Justin Trudeau set this up from the start? Have they been planting these little seeds in here for Brookfield to get rich for years? That's what it sure seems like. So this is still a ripe conflict of interest. It's just not direct money to the American system. It's a training to get money from other countries wanting to build SMRs. Like, this is preposterous. Just looking at this, like, why the heck would we spend $1 in America? I've got no problem with small modular reactors. These are actually the best source of energy on the planet right now. This is really where we should be going, whether it's small modular or normal nuclear. We need to be doing nuclear power. It's the cleanest. It's been proven to be the cleanest, the safest, the most environmentally friendly. It has the least downsides and the biggest upsides. It's just the fact that we're not building this in Canada. We're helping America with their program. Makes no sense unless the guy in charge has a bunch of investments in America.
The Westinghouse AP300 small modular reactor, the only SMR based on a deployed, operating, and advanced nuclear reactor. Leveraging the AP1000 reactor, the AP300 SMR utilizes identical technology, including design and licensing methodologies, major equipment and components, passive safety systems, proven fuel and supply chain.
So this really is the future of where we should be going, but we shouldn't be enriching Mark Carney's bank account, and we should be investing in Canada. On this episode of Far Off Ripoff, I found this one from Chile, $400,000. You're not going to believe this. So supporting forest fire recovery plan in Chile. We're helping fight their forest fires when we have our own to deal with. Not only that, we don't buy our own water bombers. Water bombers get built in Alberta and then they get sent to other countries. That's how stupid our country is. I mean, look at this. This just gets dumber. This 9-month project supports the comprehensive recovery of the population affected by wildfires in Valparaiso, Chile. Psychoeducation, communication, and community engagement with focus on gender equality. What does that have to do with fighting fires? And why wouldn't we spend our own money in our own country on water bombers or forest management? I mean, we've got this one here, Congressman Tim Tiffany in Wisconsin complaining about forest fire smoke that's come from Canada.
Wildfire smoke is back. You can see in the distance, this is a northern Wisconsin lake where there's a heavy fog out here, and it just reeks of like a plastic smell, like a burning plastic smell. But boy, the smoke is bad. And this is what happens when you don't have good forest management. To my Canadian friends, I am not singling you out in regards to this, but in North America, both Canada and the United States need to get their act together and start managing these forests the way we used to. Otherwise, this is what we're going to end up with.
Or we can just send more money to Chile so we can manage their forests. Now, something we need to keep an eye on is the stock price. Unfortunately, there's too many of these stocks, but Train Technologies, who does the heat pumps, Justin Trudeau gave away free heat pumps with our money back in 2023. Right here, you can see the instant bump and then just the meteoric rise of this stock. So this stock has gone up about 86% since Justin Trudeau decided to spend our money on free heat pumps for people. Brookfield has holdings in Train. They had about $1 million. Now it's $1.86 million. So they made $860,000 thanks to Justin Trudeau's policy announcement here. This is what we have to pay attention to. So Westinghouse, small modular nuclear reactor, is actually under Brookfield Business Partners LP. If we look at the stock here, Mark Carney gets elected prime minister right there, and look at the stock price. Kaboom, like straight up, straight from 21.25 all the way up to 25.61, and now it's gone up to $27. So if we see more shady deals being done with Nuclear Services, Westinghouse, this stock value is going to go up. And all of these will be represented somewhere, whether it's on one of Brookfield's companies, whether it's Brookfield Renewables Corporation, real estate, whatever, or an individual company like Train. That's why this is too hard to keep track of for the government. For the ethics commissioner, there's no way they can track all of this. This whole situation with Mark Carney's conflicts is an absolute joke. He should be thrown out of office for this. This is unacceptable.
Premier David Eby has said that he wants to focus on twinning the Trans Mountain pipeline. Point of talking right now about a new pipeline to Prince Rupert because there is no proponent. Do you believe the BC government should get out of the way here if Prime Minister Carney says that this is a project of the national interest?
Well, it does. Whether or not Mr. Carney says that, it is in our national interest to have another pipeline to the West Coast because it's the shortest distance that leads to the biggest global market. There are well over 2 billion energy consumers in Asia that we need to reach. And the fastest way to reach them is to go from Hardisty, Alberta, to somewhere in northern British Columbia, whether it's Rupert or Kitimat or some other place. And yes, it has to happen. And with respect to Premier Eby, I nothing personal against him, but I disagree with him on this. And I believe the federal government needs to show leadership on interprovincial projects, including pipelines, and just make the decision. We can't wait for unanimity. All we're going to do if we block the pipeline is give the Americans more of our oil at enormous discounts, effectively making a donation of tens of billions of dollars to them. Why, when they're hitting us with tariffs, would we want to be more dependent on being underpaid by the Americans? Let's get world.
I know why. Could it be because Mark Carney's invested in 530 companies, roughly, out of 568 of his investments? He doesn't want the price of anything in America to go down. That hurts his bottom line. He'd be more suitable to be president of America, not prime minister of Canada. Going back to David Eby, talking about twinning of Trans Mountain, it's already done. It's already at capacity of 86%. There needs to be another pipeline being built now. David Eby wants to get away from it because of his ideological pursuit to ban oil.
Because you know the complications as well, in essence, of telling a province, we are going to come through your territory. There have been legitimate concerns in BC around the environmental impact. There continue to be concerns around the coastline. I spoke to Premier Smith about this recently. There is still concern around a spill on the coast. So how do you address those to the satisfaction? And I know we're just one country, but British Columbians also wonder, how do we benefit from?
Because oil pays the bills in every single country on planet Earth. Countries that don't have oil, like in Africa, are poor. They are dirt poor. That's why they live in the dirt, because there's no prosperity. Energy fuels life in Canada. Without energy, you can't have any of this stuff. You don't have lights, you don't have cars, you don't have roads, you don't have anything. We have so much of this and we're hindering ourselves. This is the dumbest thing in human history. Just listen to Pierre's response, though. It's right on point.
This project that in essence crosses through our land, where the money is largely flowing through to Alberta.
We all agree that tankers are needed. If you allow them in the south part of the Pacific coast, why the north? Why not the north? We allow them to arrive, to come and go in St. John, New Brunswick. So it doesn't make sense to say that there's only one place in Canada where we are not going to allow any tankers to go. If you had a ban on every coast, then you wouldn't be able to move energy anywhere around the world. It doesn't make sense. We have shown as a country that we can ship large volumes of hydrocarbons with almost no incident, 99.99999% incident free. And that there's no reason why that can't happen again. BC's northern part of BC is the best place, the shortest distance, and can do the most good. Now, what does British Columbia get out of this deal? Well, first of all, the pipe fitters, the welders, the electricians, the industrial carpenters who will work on the export terminal, they will all get jobs. The surrounding communities near the terminus will get jobs. And of course, when Alberta booms, British Columbia benefits. Where to start? It's the parts that the energy sector buys from British Columbia manufacturers. It's the truckers who end up getting jobs. It's the restaurants that service along the construction line. It's good for all of Canada. We've got to start thinking of ourselves like as a country again, where one province's benefit is good for its neighboring province.
It's sad that Pierre had to explain this to this journalist. It is unbelievable. Also, the fact that they didn't wash the window here, like, come on, this is such sloppy framing. If it's on the outside and they can't clean it easily, then just pivot the camera and have them stand over here.
Let's focus in on some of those issues. They matter a lot to British Columbians, as you well know. When we talk about jobs, we recently saw BC Ferries make a decision to send what we believe is more than $1 billion to China to build 4 new vessels. At the same time, the federal government's infrastructure bank has provided $1 billion loan, while the transportation minister said no money should go to ferries.
Right.
What do you make of this in terms of prioritizing building ships here in this country?
I think it's a terrible decision, and we, as today, the Conservatives, federal Conservatives, have called for the Federal Infrastructure Bank to cancel the $1 billion loan. We shouldn't be giving federal tax dollars to subsidize jobs overseas. The federal government should only be funding job creation in Canada. And so that's why we've said, let's end this loan. It doesn't have any benefit for the Canadian people. And as a result, the Liberals have betrayed what they promised. They said they were going to create jobs here in Canada. Instead, they're favoring more outsourcing to a country that does not have our labor standards, has slave labor that we can't compete with, at a time when we need to build up our industrial base here in Canada.
Not only that, it's the very first nation-building major project goes to China, over $1 billion, like $1.2 billion.
It does have some benefit. The loan itself will save BC Ferries $650 million. If they don't have the loan, it will cost more to taxpayers to build the vessels. Are you worried at all about ferry users in this province who will have to pay more if the ferries cost more to build?
Well, first of all, we have to ask, why does it cost so much more to build in Canada? And part of the reason is that they're using worker exploitation over in China. That's not a good reason. The second reason is that this has become a very hard place to build anything. We have very slow permits. The Liberal government imposes very high taxes and red tape and an uncompetitive economy. We need to unleash a free enterprise system in this province and country that will allow us to make stuff that's affordable again. It's not good enough to drive business away with high taxes and heavy red tape and then turn around and say, well, I guess we have to buy from the rest of the world what we could be making here at home. And
Pierre just nailed it right there. China is taking advantage of their own people, and then just to say, well, they're cheap over there, so we're not going to support Canadian jobs. It's time to cut the red tape and make things cheaper in Canada. They could do it, but there's always someone in the way. It's time to cut all this stuff that gets in the way of life being affordable in Canada once again.